Let's talk about how to deal with debt collectors calling about a medical bill. So, here's how to protect yourself and stop the calls legally. So, first thing, let's talk about the word calling. Folks, we're in the 21st century. It's 2025. Stop answering the phone. It's not the 20th century. It's not even like the year 2000 or 2010 when we would jump and answer our phone. All of us are on our cell phones now. And so you have either it shows up a caller ID or it'll say private line or maybe just the number. But if you don't recognize the number, if it's not in your contact list, don't answer it. We don't have to jump every time the phone rings to answer to see who it is, to see if it's important. If it's important, they'll leave a message, right? So that's the first thing. When I use the term calling you about a medical bill, a debt collector or collection agency calling about a medical bill, what I mean is contacting you about a medical bill. And speaking of being in the 21st century, debt collectors have gotten really hip to the fact that people don't answer their phones anymore. So what are they doing now? They're sending texts. So I had someone call me and say, "Yeah, Dr. Virgie, what should I do?" I got a text that said, "This is ABC Consulting Services. We're a debt collection agency working on the behalf of whatever radiology services. Let's call it ABC Radiology Services for an unpaid bill. Click here to find out about your unpaid bill." What? Why would anybody do that? Right? Because we're used to clicking when we get a text, right? I kind of think we have like our guard lowered a little bit when we get a text as opposed to a call. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Debt collectors are using this to try to get folks to acknowledge debt or acknowledge an alleged unpaid bill. So that's one way they're going to reach out to you. And no, the answer is you are not going to click on anything. If they send you an email or a text, instead of clicking on it, if it has their contact info on there, great. Or if they've left a message on a phone call with their contact info, great, because you're going to need that info because you're going to say, "I need your address to send your request for validating the debt, the bill, the unpaid bill, the alleged debt." We're going to talk about that in a second. Anyway, so the point is, make them basically send you a snail mail letter instead of a call, definitely not a text, because the point is, if they trick you into answering the phone, they may be able to get you to acknowledge the debt, alleged debt. And that means that by law, they have the right to come after you. So that's why you don't want to engage, because you don't want to acknowledge the debt until you can figure out, is it a valid debt that you actually owe? So that's why I'm saying, hey, really limit how you engage with a debt collector. If they call you, if they text you, email, make sure that you protect yourself from engaging with a debt collector so that you don't inadvertently acknowledge a bill or owing a bill or an alleged debt that you may really not. According to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, if you acknowledge that the bill, or God forbid, say, okay, well, I can make a small payment, that means that they've got you by federal law to say that you owe the debt, that you've acknowledged the debt, and now they can come after you legally for it. Okay. So that's the first thing. If you're contacted by a debt collector, by the way, really important point, please remember this. Once you receive contact from the debt collection person, company representative, and really especially if you get a letter in the mail alleging that you owe this debt, you have 30 days to respond, politely asking, but really demanding by federal law that they validate the debt, the alleged debt. So 30 days, the clock starts. Don't panic. You have protections, you have rights, but you want to make sure that you get the request in by law within 30 days. And then you have protection. You're protected forever until and unless they can validate the debt. Now, let's say that you call the debt collector back, or they got you on the phone, or you got an actual letter in the mail. Great. Oh, by the way, some of us are in transit. We're traveling nurses and we don't have an address. If you don't have an address to which they can send the bill when you're talking with them, say, "You know what? I need your contact information. I need your address to which I can send information because I'm in transit." Don't feel that just because you don't have a permanent address that you're not able to legally protect yourself from debt collection agencies. The thing is, though, the best way to have a debt collection person, collection agency communicate with you is through snail mail. If you don't respond to phone calls, you don't respond to texts, eventually they're going to have to send you a letter to the last permanent address they have on file. And again, if you know that you've moved since then, or you moved around a lot, or you're in transit, then fine. You can reach out, call them back and say, okay, I am disputing the bill. I'm not sure that I owe this bill at all. And so by law, I need from you, number one, the original signed agreement. Number two, the actual itemized bills or itemized services you're being asked to pay for, right? Itemized bill, meaning a bill with CPT codes when it's a medical bill, and proof that they actually have the right to collect it, that they bought the debt from whoever they're saying you owed it to originally. And this is by law. This protects you and stops the calls and contact legally, but according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, they should say. It's not a bill, it's an act of federal law. So that's what you're going to ask for. Let's say that you know in the back of your mind you actually owe this money and is in dispute. You weren't sure that the insurance company paid everything they were supposed to pay, or the insurance said, oh, we're not going to pay it. And the provider says, well, it was medically necessary. And there was a dispute going back and forth. Let's say you don't have insurance and this is just a huge bill. And you know what? Back then, you didn't know the only right way to pay a medical bill, and you didn't go through the 3 steps to make sure that you're not getting overcharged. At that time, you did not get an itemized bill with CPT codes, right? And you didn't check to see these are the services I actually received according to the CPT codes they're asking me to pay for, and what the fair fee for those services are. In that case, what this does is, by law, again, FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, says by law, you're protected from debt collectors contacting you about the debt until it is validated, meaning you're disputing the bill. And it may be that it's because you didn't know that you could pay it and you didn't know how to automatically negotiate without really negotiating using 3 steps, right, of the only right way to pay a medical bill. All of these things, that is the debt being disputed. And just because you're not disputing the validity of the debt in terms of did I receive the services, the debt is in dispute, which means that by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, when you contact the debt collector in writing by certified mail, snail mail, you're saying, quote, I am asking for 3 things. Number 1, the original signed agreement. Did you sign for this? Did you sign for these services? They need to show that. 2, a full itemized bill with CPT codes describing the services you're being billed for that they say you owe. And 3, proof that this particular debt collection agency has the right to collect. And there you go. All calls by federal law, all attempts to contact has to stop until they can send you that information, those 3 things you're asking for. It can't be 2 of 3, 2 out of 3 isn't bad. No, it has to be all 3. All 3 of those things has to be sent to you in order for the debt collector to legally be able to request and expect you to pay the debt. And there you go. You really have rights. Don't be afraid to use them. And also check out medicalbillrelief.com for more support.